Hi everyone, Nealay Patel here. I'm the owner, designer, and educator at Silver Silk and More, and I've got the wonderful, the talented Deb Floros with me, who is an incredible designer for jewelry making and has offered her time and talent and knowledge that you have for jewelry making with these jewelry mantras to live by. I'm going to actually turn it over to you, Deb, to give a little mini introduction about yourself and then tell us what the concept of the jewelry making mantras is for and how it works with Silver Silk.
Well, thank you, Nealay. It's so fun to be back with you again. We're already on mantra number 3. We have many more to go, so I'm gonna make this time go by as slow as possible.
Enjoy it while it lasts, and then we'll come up with 10 more mantras, maybe.
We'll come up with something else.
Right.
So I'm Deb Floros. I am a designer residing in the great state of Arizona. I've been making jewelry for about 13 years, and believe it or not, until we decided to do this, I had very little Silver Silk experience. So just fully transparent for the group and whoever might be watching, you sold me very fast on this material. So when we started talking about how we could work together, I thought to myself, okay, trying something new. That's something that all of us should do as jewelry makers or creative folks. We should push ourselves every now and again. And working with a new material, I pushed myself to find all kinds of different ways to use it. So the mantras are really kind of all about what I would do sitting down with something that I want to challenge myself to, or sitting down and saying, geez, I don't know what to do today. I know I want to do something, but I don't know what I want to do. What ways can I tap into my creativity? And I put the mantras together by thinking, what's the mental checklist I kind of go through when I sit down and have that moment of, I'm not really sure what to do. So we've covered a couple of mantras so far. This one today is about texture. So we decided that texture was something that might be interesting. So we called this one Texture is Your Friend. And it really is.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned going through a checklist of things, and especially ways to get inspired and stay inspired and creative. It can get to be difficult. I totally understand that. So I think coming up with these 10 different ways is a great way to spark the imagination back again. And I cannot even believe we're on number 3 already. And texture is our friend. So what does that mean?
So I think, and I gave this some thought, is when I first started making jewelry, I think I thought very sort of one-dimensional with materials. So the first thing you probably gravitate to are beautiful, shiny, round beads. Shiny, most everything that you look at is shiny. As I've started to, well, over the years, have developed my skills and gained more experience, more access to materials, I'm a texture junkie now. So I'm looking for things that aren't round and shiny, but might be a little rough on the surface, might be a matte surface instead of shiny. And putting the different things together. So sometimes the contrast of shiny and grungy together might be a really cool combination. So it's really kind of expanding on kind of the traditional way of maybe putting things together. And I think it just takes a little bit of pushing yourself outside of the box and saying, okay, these pretty shiny beads must go with these pretty shiny components. Not necessarily, not necessarily. So this is about kind of finding different things that might go together that you
Mhm.
wouldn't have necessarily put together if you just kind of went with your traditional way of thinking about design.
Yeah, and design is partly experimental, and then you start to learn what feels right to put together over time. I certainly you've had a lot of experience with doing that. And so, are there some tips that you can quickly give, I suppose, to like for someone who's uncomfortable with putting such materials together? Maybe there's an easy way for them to like just even lay stuff on the table and then just see like how and why it would work together.
One thing I always try to think about, this maybe this isn't a tip that would be traditional, but one
Hmm.
thing I always think about is I think I for some reason have had this in my head since I was a kid. Like everything should match perfectly. Like the tone of metal should match, whatever other piece I'm attaching to. So if
Hmm.
I'm trying to put golds together, well, there's like 100 different shades of golds.
Yeah.
Like you're probably not going to be able to match it. You're going to make yourself crazy if you try to match something perfect, perfect, perfect. It just probably isn't going to happen. So you have to throw that out the window. But something I found is two shades of something might be weird, but adding a third texture or tone actually makes it a little bit more acceptable. So the further you expand out from trying to take two tones of color or two textures, it the further you get away from two, the more things just sort of start to kind of come together. That sounds strange, but I don't want to try and put two golds together. Um, I want to try and find a third version of gold, or if I'm putting textures together, two might be strange, but three actually seems to work. And sometimes expanding beyond that,
Hmm.
five, seven, and I always like kind of uneven
The
numbers.
odd numbers seems to
Yeah.
work. You know what it also does, and because I'm just now thinking about it, of two is just not enough sometimes. So three probably makes it look like the mix and match is more intentional. And
Mhm.
intentional makes things look less like a mistake or an afterthought.
Yeah.
So maybe that's one way to think about it too.
Yeah. I like the idea of I sort of have a messy style of putting things together. So I would show you, but I'd be embarrassed. But I have like little projects and they're project piles. Like I just kind
Hmm.
of put something down, and when I run across something that I think will go with it, I'll set it on the pile. And eventually the pile comes out and gets onto my work table. And
Ooh.
then when you get serious about what you're going to make, you probably want to lay it out a little bit more, like how it would go together. But I can kind of see it better when it's sort of all jumbled together, when it's a pile of things. I don't know, that works for me, but others might find laying it out in a little bit more of an organized manner would be better to actually get the visual. But however you want to do it, getting the pieces and putting them next to each other in some way should make it apparent that this is either going to work or not work. And frankly, I always believe sometimes you just got to put it together.
Hmm.
And if it doesn't work, you take it back apart and you start over again.
It's a thing. We all, I think, have gone through that for sure with jewelry making, and that's how you learn, and that's how you grow, and you start to take in these things. So I think those are great takeaways already. But I know that for our third mantra, you have a beautiful pair of earrings as an example, and maybe you could talk us through how you designed it.
Yeah. So here they are. Um, this
Oh,
is,
it's nice.
ooh, sorry, this is I'm losing my direction of left and right on screen today. So this is the silver silk featured here is hollow mesh.
Mm-hmm.
And this color blue is so epic. So talk about combining colors, like that's for another mantra, but
Mm-hmm.
I had such an issue with navy blue for many years of my life, and I banished blue from my wardrobe. I now love blue, and when I saw this hollow mesh, I died, because this is like the perfect blue, and I can mix this blue with just about anything now.
Yes.
Side note, TMI, but I thought this blue would actually look pretty fabulous with copper.
I think it's a gorgeous, gorgeous combination. And that blue's actually been quite popular lately in the hollow mesh as well as some of the other chains. But I was just so delighted that you did combine it with copper. And I don't think the tones and textures could be any more harmonious, really.
So this mantra, I think, is a bit of a slam dunk for most people, because
Mm-hmm.
silver silk is a texture in and of itself. So
It's true, yeah. So that's like your third, almost that third missing chain color or texture that could really be in combination with these different things. I also noticed that your earring post, I believe it is also textured too.
yes, so the chain, this chain is some vintage chain, and it's actually matte. So it's a matte copper,
Mm-hmm.
and it almost has a rose gold tone to it. And then the earring post is a textured, shiny copper.
Oh.
So two copper pieces in different textures, then that hollow mesh over top of the matte with that shiny effect. I mean, this is like major texture combo. And I was thinking, if people, when people are making earrings, so a lot of your earring designs, you're using the capture chain, and
Mm-hmm.
that is like a double texture.
Oh, that is
So
smart. I
so
think these are
this,
some good tips for our Silver Silk Mantra Challenge that we do monthly.
I think, like, you already are on your way if you're using silver silk, because it is a texture, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not your traditional material, and that's why I'm so excited I found it, because it's not the basic stringing material or chain. It's got a little extra pizzazz to it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think this mantra should be pretty easy for folks, because they're already using silver silk, so you're already on your way.
It's true, they're halfway there, so I'd be curious and excited to see how they interpret it. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, you can participate in this mantra that we have put together by doing our monthly mantra challenge. All you have to do is join the Silver Silk Silkies Facebook group. On there, we are constantly posting pictures and demonstrating how these mantras work. So you can hashtag Silver Silk Mantra with your post and share with our group what you've made and see how you've challenged yourself. And I also give away prizes at the end of the month for those of us that did participate. So I think Deb has a message for me about this mantra, don't you, Deb?
Yeah, so I'm thinking, I took the challenge. Here they are. What are you going to do, Nealay? How are you going to take this challenge?
I think it's my turn to take on this challenge. So, in fair tradition, I actually put together some similar earrings because Deb has inspired me, and I was just like, I'm way too much in love with these earrings, so I got to create a pair of my own. And so, why don't I talk us through how to recreate these earrings that you've made with a little bit of a twist for my take on it, and maybe that will inspire some of us out there to give that mantra challenge a try. So let me pan the camera down, and I'm going to see if I can do this solo layout. So here I've taken half the challenge because I got one earring done. But as you can see, like I really wanted to just see how many other textures I can get in. And so I've got this, starting out at the top, this beautiful matte, it's really just a brass metal bead that's been patinaed. And then I found a similar chain dev actually, and I'm not sure if mine may be vintage or not. And this one happened to be in brass as well, but it is shiny.
Shiny.
And then I wire wrap the tops of mine, so I'll show you guys how to do that sort of just to help cap it off. And then I felt like, because your example had sort of a matte on matte finish with the blue and the copper. And so I have sort of a matte seafoam is this particular hollow mesh that I'm using, and with a shiny chain on the inside. So you can see some of those facets just, you know, catch that light, and you get a really cool effect. So I thought this was my interpretation of the mantra, and I am going to show you guys how to make these earrings. So I have a few materials and tools at my table. So let me go ahead and go through the tools real quick. I've got a pair of chain nose pliers and a pair of round nose pliers. These are both from Weber's, my favorite tool companies. So I'm going to have those on the side. And then I've got my handy pair of Lindstrom cutters. These I use for craft wire, beading wire, silver silk chain, really just about anything. It's incredibly sharp and has stayed consistently sharp with every use. So I just love having them around. And then, as you can see, I've got one half of the earring done. So every supply that I have here, just double up on to make 2 earrings. I have got about 3.5 inches of hollow mesh in seafoam. This is a tubular mesh using 6 needles to create it. And it's roughly about 4.5 millimeters wide. And so you could really stuff some really fun things in here. And in this case, we're just going to be using about 3 to 4 inches of chain. And the links are close to about maybe 3 millimeter, maybe 3.5 millimeter each link. And then I've just got a decorative bead that I went ahead and made a simple loop on either end using my round nose pliers to make my simple loop. And this bead is roughly about 10, maybe 12 millimeters in size. So it's big, but it's not super heavy, because when thinking about earrings, we probably want it to be on the lighter weight of the spectrum here, just to make it comfortable to wear. And then I've got about 1 foot of 26 gauge Softflex craft wire in gold. And I actually need to trim this in half so that I'm using about, I would say about 6 inches or so on each side of my earring here. So to put this together, it's pretty easy. I'm going to just go ahead and drop my chain into my hollow mesh.
The color combo is amazing.
Isn't it just wonderful? It just gives me like really great beach vibes.
Yeah, totally.
So let's see, I'm trying to make sure I can get that through. There we go.
Neither one of us being very close to a beach.
Right.
Beach vibes.
You're probably less at a beach than I am at this point, I think. That's okay, though. We'll find some nice pools nearby, I'm sure.
Yes.
So on the, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4th, 5th, on the 6th link, 1, 2, 3, let's see, 4, 5, 6. I kind of just started to draw down using my fingers, just pinching the hollow mesh over the chain. And this just sort of gives a nice tapered effect to my earring design here. And I'm going to do that to both sides. Whoops. This will also ensure that it won't fall through later. Here we go. So that creates my shape. And I could very well just stop here because that's a beautiful shape. And, you know, I think, Deb, you sort of tapered yours at the top too. And then for me, I wanted a little bit more frou-frou-ness in it. So I wanted to add some additional texture, if you will, just by using a simple little wire wrapping at the top here. So I'm just gonna string my wire right through the 6th link, as well as some of the silver silk. And I'm gonna gently start to coil this around.
I actually wish I would have thought of this. I might have to modify my earrings because I like that bead cap effect that creates.
Yeah, I think it just adds a little extra finishing touch without having to try to do too much to it, at least. And you could go very well and just do a bead cap on top too, even.
Yeah.
So it's really just up to the person how they want to create this.
Let's see what everybody else comes up with.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone's been doing such a fantastic job with the other past 2 mantras, in fact. So
great designs.
Always excitable to see stuff. So I just sort of pinched in the wire end there, and then I can go back and kind of fix these wraps if I want to with my chain nose pliers. Overall, though, that looks pretty good. And so I'm going to do the same thing to this other side. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just make sure that I have the count there correct. And then again, just bring my wire through. This will help to anchor the silver silk in place too on the chain so that it doesn't move later. You know, storage is another thing. If you're gonna place it in a drawer instead of an earring form or some sort of holder for your earrings, it might tend to slip or even fall off the chain. So sort of a nice preventive way to take care of this. So let's see, there we go, just pinch that right in. So now I'm ready to just connect everything together. So I'm gonna grab my bead, and I'm gonna open up my simple loop. And I'm gonna drop in one of the chain links here at the end. Maybe. I'll open this up a little wider.
I found that to be one of the challenging parts.
Yes, like my fingers are not delicate enough for that. Okay, and then I will just now pop in my earring wire. And boom, I have taken the challenge, the Silver Silk Mantra challenge here with my 2 earrings. So I'm really in love with these, and I think the colors are just so much fun. And I can now say, Deb, that we have both taken the challenge.
Texture.
I'm gonna get some clip-ons so I could wear these with you. I love these so much. I love the design that you came up with. So I just had to, I had to do it and I had to teach it.
Thank you. I think those are a nice twist. So we each did a little bit something different, but same idea. And I'm sure there are probably 10 other versions of this that we might see.
Absolutely. And maybe there isn't, but the idea here is that I got creating because you created something, a template for me to just like do something, you know? Yeah, and there's something beautiful about that too. So even if folks out there don't come up with anything extra and they just follow the tutorial that we taught you today, yeah, you are creating, and that's what we want you to do.
And texture, you can do this thing, apply the same concepts to a bracelet, to a necklace, to an anklet. You can do just about anything and apply the same thought process. Mix things together, try different textures and tones, and mix it up. Have some fun.
Absolutely. What a delightful way to do this entire mantra with you, Deb. I think this was a great project, and I hope you guys out there will give it a try. Again, you can just pop onto the Silver Silkies Facebook page. We'll post the links and everything in the video description. And you can use hashtag Silver Soap Mantra to post an entry into the drawing and just to share your beautiful creation and how you conquered the mantra like we did. Well, Deb, this has been so delightful. Thanks so much for popping on here, joining me, and walking us through what the Silver Silk mantras are, for the 10 jewelry making mantras to live by, and then showing us your beautiful pair of earrings on how you demonstrated the mantra, and then challenging me to do something.
Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to the next one. That challenge, I think, will be a fun one for you and for everybody else.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to hop off, and you guys have a wonderful day. Keep it creative, and we will see you again. Mwah.
Bye.